call to order this meeting of the Plain Township Board of Trustees. Everybody else stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before us, we do have an agenda as presented. Do we have any additions, deletions, or corrections by fellow board members or department heads at this time? Okay, there's no changes to the agenda. It will stand as presented. Allow the record to reflect that Trustee Sabo gave previous notice that he would not be able to attend as he's on vacation, as is our Parks Director, Mr. Steinberg. Nothing formally under the sheriff's report. Is there anybody in the audience that has anything for the sheriff's office? Okay, nothing or unfinished business. It's going to take us to new business. I'm going to turn that over to our administrator, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. The first resolution is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to approve and then authorize payment to Jen and Nicole Broshman for the extended season market coordination for the farmers market in the amount of $2,157.50 from Fund 01A 26E.
I will so move.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
That also includes the creation of a Facebook site that she has created for the farmers market, which I don't know if you were there last night, really helped move a lot of traffic.
Good. Well, I know, I think I saw we have was that the sheriff's office that put the sign over there for us
Yeah.
as well, Al? So,
Yeah.
thank you, Lieutenant Turner, for that. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And then item number 2 is a resolution, yes, to approve and authorize payment to Warsaw Brothers Landscaping for the June 2016 composting in the amount of $2,850 from Fund 01A 26L.
I so move the business too. Second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And item number 3 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to approve and authorize payment to Kruglak, Wilkins, Griffiths, and Doherty for professional services rather than the amount of $2,879.46 from Fund 01A-10.
I will so move.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you, and that's the end of new business.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. That will take us to our fiscal officer's report, and I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Wool.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is a request for resolution to authorize the payment of pending warrants in the amount of $687,834.45.
I will so move.
I'll second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 2 is a request for resolution to authorize the payment of regular payroll.
So move for pay.
Second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is a request for resolution from the board to authorize the payment of the following medical claims.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is the financial report for June.
Does anybody have any questions at this immediate time? Otherwise, if not, just make sure to see Mr. Wolf afterwards.
Fiscal Officer number 5 is a request for resolution to set a public hearing for the 2017 alternative tax budget on July 26, 2016 at 6:15 p.m. and to further authorize the Plain Township Fiscal Officer to publish a notice of the public hearing in the repository at least 10 days prior to the hearing.
I will so move.
I'll second.
Discussion. It's hard to believe it's already that time again. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 6 is a request for resolution to authorize the following transfers.
Also move on fiscal officer 6.
Second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Wool. We can turn back over to our administrator, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. Number one is just information for the board to let you know that I am scheduling a healthcare meeting with the staff. We're going to start doing quarterly meetings just to, for both union and non-union employees, just so that they can get information on what's trending with our healthcare, so that they can just be informed to maybe be better users of the healthcare. Maybe if they see what's trending kind of high, it's something that employees can learn a little more about to help contain costs. So I know it's a little early, but I just wanted to let you know we're setting the first one up in September. We'll have our folks here from All Care in Huntington, and we're going to use it more as a learning tool about their benefits and maybe how we can contain costs. We've done great the last 3 years. Our costs have been down, and just want to keep that trend going. So I think with education and the time to ask questions, it'll just keep us moving in that really great direction that we're going.
Very good.
And that's the end of the administrator's report.
Fire Department, Chief Snyder.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 1, I do monthly report.
I just say that actually, you climbing out right there?
It might have been years ago.
Falls on.
There's a picture of a firefighter coming out a window that
Looks like
says Chief Don Snyder under it. We're wondering, is it
It
Chief
looks like he's hanging
Snyder?
on for dear
That's
life.
that's one of the trains it's a bailout train.
Actually, he fell right after the picture. Yeah, actually, it's only like 2 feet, but it looks like it's.
Chief, just as a question, I mean, our number, there's nothing drastic here, but are we seeing any more activity over towards, say, the Hall of Fame Village area just because of the construction over there, or is that still, would you consider that pretty normal, nothing?
I'd say it's pretty normal. I did this today from an activity perspective. In the past week and a half, we've seen an increase in, unfortunately, heroin overdoses again. We've seen we have 2 at one residence at the same time. You know, so the past week and a half, we probably had half a dozen. You know, based on the first 6 months of this year, we're probably on a pace of about 200 additional calls than we were last year.
Any other questions?
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Can take us from Road Department, Mr. Iacino.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item number 1 is June's monthly report.
The roads are looking beautiful, let me say that. Got a lot of compliments from back up in the old, trying to think of
Laurel Ridge.
Yeah, Laurel Ridge.
That's the best one.
And so forth. And actually, that one email that we got about the patch job, I did get a call back. Okay, that makes sense, but
Mr. Iacino,
Yes.
just for the record, we did close to 18 miles of road.
Yeah, 17.5.
And
we're up
in
about
previous
10
years,
almost.
we did 6, 7.
6.5, 7, yeah, we're up about 10 miles from 2 years.
So
we're expending the taxpayers'
That's what
resource
we
dollars
get
like
back
we
to them.
committed to.
And let me ask you also, normally, last year, the years before, with just 8 miles of road, it usually took us till August. And if I'm not mistaken, we're done paving.
Yeah, for some reason, North Star really put 2 crews in here moving the whole time. I have one more street to do, which is 55th northwest of Market Avenue there. A portion of it, we're waiting to see all the final numbers before we're going to add that to it.
So it could be close to 19 miles. That's amazing.
They really.
That's a great
Really
service.
kick it up.
So ultimately, that'll help us keep pulling that replacement cycle back in to where
Hopefully we get that
realistically
down
should
to
be.
10.
They did a nice job, Joe. This West Warner we're looking at right now is just an excellent
Yeah,
job.
and we widened that, took all those stone gutters out of there, poured all the basins.
Good job. Good job.
Well, it looks great. I think people are very happy.
And Sean Moriarty did a great job just keeping track of all the inspector issues and making sure that, yeah, all of the billing was kept straight. And just made Joe and I's life
Nice.
easy. He made his salary alone in keeping that billing straight with North Star and made the prevailing wage very easy. So he really, if you get a chance to tell Sean, he went above and beyond and really did a great job this summer.
Yes, he does. Item number 2 is a resolution to authorize posting of temporary no parking signs on the following streets listed below for the Hall of Fame proceedings to be posted on August 3rd and removed on August 8th. There's several correspondences from the Hall of Fame and the Sheriff's Office.
I'm so moved.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution to authorize Plain Township Road Department to close Bar Avenue from Fulton to Woodward and Woodward from the lake to Bar. This also came from our sheriff's office. They did this last year. People that still live there will get access and parking passes for any guests on their property.
Joe,
They had a problem with buses being parked there. Will they change that?
last year?
Staging area, yeah, they had, so they changed the staging area now from 17th to Harrison. Chief Snyder's been going through a few meetings on this, and it's just easier access for them to get in and out on Bar Avenue for this festival.
But we had a problem last year, remember we had some upset residents?
Yeah,
Is this going to be different this year?
Yeah, because of the buses. The
buses.
roads were closed and the sheriff was letting them in, but the buses were blocking their driveways, and that's why we requested.
It's my understanding the buses will be coming in from the southbound killing, and then parking and staging on George Howell's Drive to leave. They'll be stacked up there, so.
So maybe,
So,
would you say that we made it as easy as possible for those residents? Because they're already going through enough now because of what else is going on with the trucks and all that. Is this the best route that we're doing for them to make sure?
yeah, actually,
they're not going to any more
the
headaches?
bus traffic is staying off of township roads this year. There's a list of names of residents who still live on Bar Avenue that will be getting the letters and access for parking to their properties.
Roll call?
We need a motion. I'm sorry. I'll move on that.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Item number 4 is a resolution to authorize the purchase of a box culvert from Emerald Avenue replacement from Lindsay Precast not to exceed $28,500.
I'll move on this.
I'll second.
Discussion. Joe, is that what we have that's going into Diamond
Right.
Estates where the cones are up right now? So pretty much as soon as you come off Diamond, right in, you go, what, maybe 20 yards? Yeah, 10 to 20 yards. And we've got cones on both sides. Oh, okay.
I've been working with the county and I finally got them, they're gonna put it in probably early in August, but I needed the 30, 45 days to get the structures built. It's 80 feet box culvert, so they're gonna do the work for free. We'll have to buy some more materials and backfill and all that stuff as we go. Right now, this is just to get the box culvert built.
It's bad. I had to be over there a week or so ago, just on the bike, and I got off just to walk down.
There's no bottom in that pipe at all.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay.
For the discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And item number 5 is a resolution to contract with Oglesby Construction for the 2016 pavement marking program. It will be completed by August 12th, not to exceed $30,391.01.
I will so move.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Thank you. Going to take it to the zoning department. Let's turn it over to Mr. Farrar.
Thank you, sir. First item on the agenda is a monthly report.
I want to go on the record, one thing, I got 2 calls ironically today over from the Avondale area by the elementary school, pretty much Fulton Whipple there. Both of them are complaints really on the skills games. I guess there's a new skills game place going in over there. So the office may get a couple more calls just with those concerns. I explained to them that state legislature controls it and we try to regulate as best as we can through inspections and fees, but it's going to fall there.
We've had a couple of calls already, and they're having a difficult time right now. I'm not sure they're going to be able to go.
Okay, well, that's good information to know. Any other questions on the annual or monthly report? Okay.
Thank you, sir. Item number 2 on the agenda is a resolution for payments on abatements, item A through E.
I will so move.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And item number 3 is a resolution declaring items A through I as nuisance abatements.
So moved.
Second, discussion. Are you finding that you're still getting good response from a lot of folks and trying to mitigate these before they come to us, or are you finding parties becoming more challenging if this is their second go round, or?
Yeah, I've got item number 4, and I'll explain that.
Okay. I will move on zoning 3A through J.
I think I already moved on that.
Okay, sorry, second. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And item number 4 on the agenda is just by way of information to keep you appraised. In the first 6 months of this year, we've had a total of 271 complaints. Of that 271, we've had 21 total abatements. That's less than 8% of the complaints that are being abated. Or on the other side of the ticket, that's 92% compliance for the first 6 months.
That's pretty good.
That's very good, plus that's good cost avoidance
Yeah.
on the
Oh,
tax.
absolutely.
Your office is to be commended for that.
Yeah, I'm very, very pleased with both Vince and Vicki.
That's
They're
awesome.
working very hard.
That's these volumes too, John.
Look at this one. That's you're right.
Good job, Tom.
Something's being done right, because I normally at this time get so many calls, and I'm not getting them this year.
Well, good, thank you.
So that's a good sign.
Anything else on that?
No, sir, that, we're done.
Thank you. It's going to take us to the Parks Department. We do have our monthly report here. Lisa, is that any?
Yeah, just the monthly report.
I do know we're making some headway on the salute to veterans. We got that, so later on some of the smaller stuff.
And the concrete is complete at Alpine Park and it looks beautiful. It's handicap accessible now and it came out really beautiful.
Yes.
Joe, good job finding, I always say his name wrong.
Dickerson?
Dickerson,
Yeah.
to get that done.
He did an excellent job.
Nothing further there, nothing on the law director, nothing on our communications. It does bring us to the portion of the meeting for the public. Is there anybody in the room that wishes to address the Board of Trustees with any concerns or issues? We just ask you state your name and address for the record for the fiscal officer.
Tracy Rohr at 2514 Clarendon Avenue Northwest, Canton, Ohio 44708. Myself and my neighbor, Mrs. Strohmeyer, had already asked one of your deputies. We had came to see what we could do. There's a neighbor in between us renting a house that has a dog, and the dog has scared her, kind of lunged at the fence twice. Just to see what we could do, she had asked the neighbor to keep the dog up on a leash, and the lady threatened to call the police and then the law director, because I asked them to keep the dog out of my yard too, because I had to maneuver around 4 or 5 pounds of dog excrement that I knew came from their dog. And we're just, they're kind of the people that would retaliate. We weren't sure what we could do. That's why we had asked him, is it something we file a complaint? And she wanted to know like the dog laws, if it had to be on a leash.
Lieutenant Springer.
But more details.
Eric, we'll let Eric go ahead first.
Well, these guys enforce it in the field, but basically we have a barking dogs home rule resolution and we have a dogs running at large resolution. Unfortunately, neither one of those can impact a dog in its own yard if it's staying in its own yard. I'm sure the detectives probably already had that conversation with you. I think I walked in on the tail end of that one. Obviously, if they're running a large, they need to be able to see it, am I right? And so they've got to, it's kind of a timing issue if it's able to get back home, but the other issue is the barking they also need to hear. You're not having an issue, though, it sounds like, with any barking.
The only barking issue that we have, that I have, is when it runs at the fence, and I'm in my own yard, I have a fenced yard, and it barks at me.
I see.
And if I hadn't had that fence,
Sure.
that dog would have bit me. Now, what my issue is, I work in my front yard where it's not fenced.
Right.
That dog's gonna come charging at me
Yeah.
when I'm in my own yard. That's why I wanted to know if that dog had to be leashed, because it's a bulldog.
Have you, if it's a bulldog, did you say?
Yes. I thought it was a pit bull.
Yeah.
And I asked her, is it a pit bull? She said, no, it's a bulldog. Do you want to see his papers? And I said, no.
We don't have anything specific with regard to breeds on our books, so I guess that wouldn't play into it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, the dog had also scared her 2 weeks prior to this last episode last week, to the point where she slipped. We have like our backyards are an incline. She had slipped and fell, scratched her nose, hurt her wrist enough to require medical attention. So it wasn't the first time, and she tried asking them to keep the dog on a leash. And that's when the lady hollered at her that she would call the police on her. And we just didn't know, any way that.
Can we, first of all, are they allowed, is she allowed to video that dog? Or at least we have to see. Can you look, Lieutenant, can you look at a video?
At times.
Realistically, sir, no. The prosecutors really like to see that eyewitness from the officer. It's not to say that if you take the video that we can't use that video to speak further with the violator or potential violator, suspect in
Yeah,
this case.
she doesn't have a phone device
And
yet
then-
to do that.
Let me ask you then, this is why we have a detective that goes out and talks to people. Is that one of those that you would be allowed to go out and talk to her and say, look, or are you okay if we have someone from our sheriff's office go and speak with that person and say, look, we have a concern about your dog. We have a leash law, and maybe our sheriff could give them a little scare that now we are watching them. Would you feel comfortable if we do that?
Well,
The question is, to a point I heard earlier, though, I think that's part of the concern they have from a retaliation aspect, because even if they go out and say, hey, nobody told us, knowing what happened.
Yeah, they haven't reacted very good when I asked them to keep the dog out of the yard and explained I had to maneuver around the feces, and then when she told me what had happened with the dog with her twice.
The ladies would like to stay after the meeting for a few minutes. I can give some additional colors.
Yeah.
I know the Detective Cohen's already addressed the concern.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, we do have an animal waste home rule resolution too.
I had 2 other things not related to that. She had heard through a friend that on WHBC, there was going to be a Hall of Fame meeting on July 26th at Myers Lake. We didn't know what time, or if that's like a public meeting we can still attend about.
That's news to us,
So,
Yeah, you can send a friend.
supposed to be a Hall of Fame meeting.
I didn't hear that.
that was it, was it? that
At
was in the
Myers
paper?
Lake, she thought the date was possibly July 26th, but had no other details.
26 or 28, you said.
26th.
Yeah, we weren't invited, if that's the case, we don't know about it.
Yeah, we didn't know if it was like a public one that we could go to get any more information.
Well, if it's on the radio, I'm gonna assume with reasonableness that it probably is, because if it was a private meeting, there's no way it would ever hit.
Right.
you know,
But I had a reporter call me from the repository to tell me that my house was on the list that they're going to buy. When we had a meeting at the Avondale Fire Station, the trustees said they didn't know anything about it. Now, if the Canton Repository reporter has a list, I think the trustees should have a list. And I said, how did you obtain this list? And she says, on the open freedom laws. She went there.
We provided everybody at that meeting a copy of the exact footprint that was included through the first three phases. If, you know, it didn't have an address, I believe some of them had parcel numbers, so anybody who would have taken that information could have inquired with the auditor's office if their parcel was associated with that. But, I mean, we haven't collectively went through and run a list on each of those parcels, because at the end of the day, you know, from a jurisdictional control aspect, and just as we advised, I believe we're all on record during the meeting, at least I'm pretty sure I was, you're not forced to sell your property. What we do, or I know what I advise any resident that calls about this, not wanting to sell, you don't have to sell. However, you have to be very much aware and attuned to the fact that the Hall of Fame could continue to acquire the different properties around, and that sort of leaves you on a little island. Now, taking that a step further, the Hall of Fame has absolutely no annexation or eminent domain powers. So anything like that, they would have to coordinate in their agreement with the city of Canton. I can tell you as one of your 3 elected officials up here, if you said, I still don't want to go, we will fight like hell on your behalf to fight that for you. That doesn't necessarily guarantee that we're going to win, because somebody may push it up and maybe outside the city level to the state, because there's so many money sources that are coming into this project that I don't think it's even clear where all it's coming from yet. But, you know, we've said we want to be good partners in working with the Hall and managing and coordinating our services. But our primary responsibility, first and foremost, is to our residents. So the risk of being that last person, and I'm just talking in generalities, is, you know, they may try making an offer, and I know I really don't want to sell, I'm gonna stay here, and then say the eminent domain piece gets pushed, whether it's through the city, and we lose in contesting it with the commissioners, or it gets pushed through the state level. At that point, you may have your hand forced in that situation, to which then you're going, okay, well, you had offered X dollars for the parcel, and they may come back and say, well, that was no longer available because you denied it, you pursued this avenue. So unfortunately, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. I apologize for my choice of words, but that's really what it is. But you can entrust this board, I don't care whoever sits up here as trustee, prior boards, this board, future boards, will always fight like hell for our residents, especially in situations like that. I mean, this board's had a reputation that, you know, annexations that come through will typically dispute them for the sake of, I mean, that's how we've become so broken up as a township. North Canton and Canton are only the size they are because of annexing places like Plain Township and Canton Township. And the reality is, neither of them can maintain the infrastructure or deliver the level of services that we do at the dollar amount. So If you hear rumblings, don't ever hesitate to call. I know Lisa, as our administrator, can help ferret out answers. I know Tom from the zoning and planning. All of our department heads are very much involved with regular updates. I know Joe gets them from roadways and utility relocations and upgrades to, whatever we can do to ferret those details out. But as far as outside the initial footprint that was provided to us, was published in the paper, that's the only information that we would have. And, we're on record, I know, as saying, step one parcel outside that defined footprint, and this board is going to fight to protect that. That's a very important area of the township to us, not only because of the residents who want to stay there, but there's a commercial corridor between Fulton and Whipple, which, looking at our base, that's a small base, and we have to still protect what we've got. Am I helping you at all?
Yes, I don't have any quarrel with that. I was just surprised that the repository reporter would call, and say, you're on the list. And actually, I feel fortunate that I'm on the east side and not on the west side, because those poor people on the west side are gonna face, they're not gonna, our houses are gonna be taken, and theirs aren't. I feel sorry for my neighbors on the west side. I mean, that's really gonna be a problem.
And unfortunately, the private property transaction activity that this board, that's nothing that we can interject with. That's
But I'm glad I'm on the east side, that they're gonna take my home.
Is literally, I know Tracy was actually responsible for helping get the meeting coordinated over at Station 3.
You guys have been great with us. So when she had called me and said, the repository called her right before that big article they ran, the big whole section they just did on the Hall of Fame about a month ago, and tried to tell her there was like a new map and that she was on it. So she was trying to get a copy of that new map.
Well, we need to take a look at it. We need to get a copy of any of our bonds. And see if we can tie anything back to parcels, because that's going to be critical, quite frankly. If it deviates significantly from the original footprint, we need to start taking stock of what that
We're
is.
right by the fire station. She's 2 doors down from me, and even right across, so they had told her they were taking her to her house. That's what the reporter.
Again, this is collectively for the community on a bigger scale. I see a lot of good in the project. However, there's a lot of issues that are unanswered that we've, quite frankly, been told that's nothing to worry about. It'll take care of itself later. And I know we're on the record going, no, it doesn't just take care of itself, especially when it comes to delivering our safety services. I keep going back to that because, we have a fire station that sits over, it's going to be right on the edge of that Hall of Fame Village. And you guys as taxpayers entrusted this board of trustees with additional financial resources so we can not only replace and update equipment, but to add headcount on so we can improve service response times further. Well, I'll be damned if we're going to supplement the Hall of Fame Village and take away from residents. We have to strike a balance and be good partners with everybody. But this township is not going to subsidize that village because of Canton's budget woes and where they're facing trying times and operating at significantly diminished levels. So, I know Joe, his team's done an incredible job with even infrastructure. So when people are coming in, through, say, not the highways and so forth, but the normal roadways.
I've seen him.
It's our roadways, and oh man, that looks great coming in. And then you hit a certain stretch and you're like, what the heck just happened? Somebody threw a little dynamite out here or what? No, it's not the township's road. And unfortunately, we're gonna make a lot of things look good, but yet, we're the one that's, taking the lashing on the back end to a certain degree. So, I apologize, I just get a little bit frustrated, not with you guys, but this situation, because our team really is trying to do everything within our control to protect and address your interests and concerns, while also striking a balance of being a good partner here with the haul on this project and not get left behind, but
Just one other big thing, and I promise I'll leave you be. I just always wondered, people I know that live in Kansas City pay one bill, it's water, sewer, trash, like $30. I have to pay Kansas City sewer, I have to pay Kansas City water, I have to find my own trash service, where I'm paying like double what like Kansas City pays for all three services. They've never tried to do something like that for Plain Township combined?
the reason, and this is a pretty general explanation, but Kent has inside rates and outside rates. If you're in the city, you get the city rates, because they're looking at it as, they're getting you on property taxes and they're getting you on income taxes. Whereas, unless they really end up annexing the township,
Then it would go to that.
then it would end up in
bill
that
for three
inside rate.
services.
But, they're looking at, hey, we've got these investment costs of extending utilities or maintaining and upkeeping them, and since you're non-residents, they're charging that higher premium, because there's really no other revenue streams for them to try to draw from our residents to cover some of those costs. So we have a combination of Canton City and North Canton, city water, depending upon where you're at, and then I know in Aqua, Ohio, so there's three options. And then I know from a sanitary aspect, I've got the county sanitary, and then
Majority of the township is county.
Yeah.
There are sections like where they're at and right off.
Yeah, it's
Market
three
Avenue.
separate bills, and they just keep raising the sewer, raising the water, and then you have to find your own trash service. So like I said, I know I'm paying triple what people in Canton are paying for
and
the
unfortunately, we
same
don't-
services.
we don't have a means for controlling those price hikes. Now, the one thing, I'm not sure what all would be involved in it, is, if we could even look at a township-wide trash provider, is that anything that we would have legal authority to?
I don't think we do. I mean, there's water districts which are millions and millions of dollars, and there's some other things. I've not seen one for trash.
Okay. And what just drew that question up was that, granted, it's North Kansas City, different form of
Yeah.
government. I know they've negotiated with the service provider,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, I just always, I just didn't know why ours were all
No.
separate, and if there was a way to bring it, like how you guys can get like a discount rate on maybe everyone going on that electric like you did, I didn't know if there was.
Is there anything else you have question-wise?
No, that was it.
Your name and address for the record?
My name is Nancy Allman, 924 37th Northeast, 44714. We live in a nice residential area with one church by us, and I know that churches are typically allowed in residential areas because they don't frequently cause disruptions or disturbances or nuisance. Well, that's not the case where we live. The church that's adjacent to our backyard, several nights a week for hours on end, somebody drives one of the big commercial mowers for fun, for entertainment. Regardless of the weather, if the grass is grown,
For entertainment?
for fun. They're out there several nights in a row for hours into the dark.
Just driving a mower?
And
Someone that works at the church or church related?
I think it's church staff / family. And like the one area that is really bad for us personally happens to be right like along our backyard. And it's literally a gravel parking area. And for some reason, this kid loves driving on there. And I do have video. I know somebody said video wouldn't help. They're making me crazy. I go out in the backyard with my phone and I film them. So I do have some clips of him doing this one area in particular. I went up to it when nobody was there to show that it's dirt. And they've driven me to the point even that I sort of keep track. Last week, From Wednesday, June 29th through Tuesday, July 5th, during which no rain has fallen, hardly anybody else in the neighborhood has mowed. They were there 4 of the 7 days.
There's something wrong here.
And I have.
It is a lawnmower, for sure, it's a lawnmower, it's not a, it's
She's
not a
got pictures of
four-wheeler.
it. She's got
Oh, it's a
pictures.
mower. It's a big, one of those big mowers like this. He wears
Why would someone 4
headphones.
days a week when there's no rain, there's no grass? What's
And
that?
I have, on 2 occasions, on 2 different summers, I went over and personally met with the pastor and asked him for courtesy and consideration. I have sent a letter,
What's
to
he-
no
what'd he
avail.
say? What did he say?
He said that he can't believe that I complain. He's never had anybody complain. I should be happy they're maintaining it. The grass has to be mowed, and for him to get from the front to the back, he has to drive past that problem area. He's always got to.
Nancy, Tom's office, our zoning planning and development, will take a look at that. If you can give him the name of the church and so forth after the meeting.
And that's
Yes.
you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I am at my wit's end, and I didn't know if you could advise, anything you guys can do.
Well, I'll tell, I mean, there's nothing from the sheriff's office perspective on this. Realistically, guys, is there, it seems like it'd be a stab in the dark.
You should really contact our office man and make an initial report. We can try and go over and talk with the other people and try and mediate.
Well, Tom has that gift of talking to
The
us.
verbal jujitsu.
But are they playing at nighttime too? I mean,
That's when she's saying
He,
it's till the late hour.
they start frequently, like when I'm home from work, I don't know what goes on in the daytime, and frequently he's over there when it's dark.
Yeah, that's a problem. Something's not right.
It's not only the incessant mowing, but the way, the speed and the driving pattern, it's obviously not mowing. He's just having fun. I think he's just,
Well, between both the offices, Tom will follow with you right afterwards. Any other questions?
Lieutenant,
You guys in the back will.
awesome, thank you.
Is there anybody else that needs to address the board today?
that's amazing.
Okay, that's going to conclude public speaks. Is there anything under concerns of the trustees?
Thank you.
Close that out. Concerns of the fiscal officer?
No concerns.
That takes us to the approval of minutes for June 28, 2016, for which I will so move.
I will second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.